Hi, everyone. This is Naglaa Elshamy, and I have Donna Fisher here with me. And we wanted to do this quick video, this little bit of an overview. We were thinking about the idea of intuition and what intuition means, and how to open up your intuition, and how to feel that what you're receiving is coming from your intuition versus maybe your ego or ideas in your mind. So we wanted to bring a little bit of some thoughts that we were having. And if you actually follow what we do, we're both of us like to be free flowing with videos and free flowing with what comes to us at the moment. So unscripted, but we're also going to be channeling whatever comes to our minds and whatever comes also to you from our intuition. So let's just begin. How do we define the idea of intuition? Donna, like, how do you feel about the word intuition itself?
Um, well, I have to be honest with you. I think I was more of a logical person, a lot more logical before I started my awakening. Meaning that before I would have, like, if I was faced with a choice, I was told, make a list. What are the positives of this? What are the negatives of this? Right. And if your positives outweigh the negatives, then that's the right choice for you. But that's kind of using your logic, right? That's kind of using the mind part. The intuition in me, now that I've discovered and awakened, and it was always there. It's just a matter of tapping into it. I mean, I think I was born with this extrasensory ability. It runs in my family, but I was always kind of the kind of person, growing up, I didn't know. Nobody told me. Nobody said anything to me. You know, sensing spirits around me and stuff. Like I was told, I was like, making the stuff up. It was in my mind. So, I think that for me, after my awakening in 2012, I started to experience things, and I was just kind of pulled to that, where I went into this psychic development classes, and I don't know why I was pulled to that, but I mean, I was part of the, and a few years back I was doing other things, but I wasn't really focused on it. I think it's like a matter of focus. So I think the more that I was learning those things, although when you're learning it, it's like you're using your mind. It just, no matter what you do, you really can't like read a book about it and get it. I think that you start to open yourself up to it, and without being afraid of it, because a lot of people are afraid of it. Okay. They're afraid. I don't know. There's different reasons for being afraid. But for me, I felt like I would start getting things and getting signs. Maybe somebody who I thought about, then, would call me after I thought about them. I would just get information, like, so, and then I would just get to the point where it just felt right. It was almost like you don't even think. It's like you just start saying something and it's like, where did that come from? Like, I don't even know where that came from, but this is kind of something that developed over time. It wasn't like, back in 2012, I just like, bam, like I just woke up and I know everything. I'm getting all this channeled information and stuff. There was a lot of second guessing, there was a lot of bumps in the road. There was a lot of stuff that happened that sometimes I also questioned. And I think, maybe I'll give this to you now. Like, how do you know the difference? Like, especially when you're starting the journey new, we're not talking about people who have already developed this, because I'm sure the people who are watching this are just fairly new on this spiritual awakening, or they just want more information about how to tap into that intuition. How did you know the difference? How did you know?
I think I was just kind of like you. I mean, you like throughout my childhood growing up, I would get these ideas. I mean, people would ask me things, and I have this wise way of looking at situations. So I've had this growing up, but it was never like, growing up in a very traditional upbringing, and people don't tell you, oh, that's your intuition, that's your third eye opening. You don't really feel that. Like, I always felt things where I should be, where I shouldn't be, what my role in the world was. So as I was growing up, I had these ideas, but it was never like, I thought it's normal, that's a normal thing. And for me to, like, even though I started getting some things, I would get some dreams, that prophetic dreams, more things coming through my dream state. But really, like, 2012 was a major turning point for me, like a lot of people. Like I started getting some things in 2010, but then 12 was pretty major. I was going through my awakening and I was going through major life changes. And I would get dreams and I would get intuitive things that tell me exactly what I need to do, what's coming into my life. And in 2013 and 14, you know, getting more into the spiritual side of me, like literally it was, for me, it was kind of, I was hearing things, I was seeing things, and I thought that was normal. That's the thing. I thought that's normal. And
I mean, like
it
I
was
see
really,
dead people.
I would like, you know, that's no, I mean, didn't see that people at the time, but I would feel things,
Yeah.
and get prophetic dreams, you know, and was literally, I mean, even growing up, I was so interested in the paranormal, so interested in things that I couldn't see. So it was just something I felt that's normal. That's just me, my weird self or whatever. But yeah, but after 2012 and starting 13, I started like going through another major meetings in my life, people coming, catalysts in my life. By 14, it was literally, by the end of 13, it was a split second. I was in a tough time in my life. I went to a psychic, and it's not my normal to go to a psychic, and she said something about my journey, and it literally opened up a whole new thing. I was able right away, as soon as I knew what was happening, my full channeling abilities opened up. Like I was channeling, I could be like literally it was just all there. I just didn't know, like someone said something and it was there for me. I could channel spirit. I could easily hear, you know, and connect with spirit, being a medium, all that was there. But again, over time, it's like you don't know how to work with it. You, you start to, you know, kind of accept it and be happy that you have it. But it took me a while that I kept it hidden because I knew what was going on and I kept it hidden from everyone because I was, you know, growing up in my culture a lot too, like, you know, what you're doing is against God or, you know, against your belief system. So I had to come at peace to it, that this was a gift from God. It wasn't something that God didn't give me. And that's the thing, you know, about intuition too. A lot of people think that it's abnormal to be intuitive, or if you're a medium, or if you connect to spirit guides, that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Is God created us with this ability to have that, you know, the universe, whatever you believe in, but we are built in with our psychic abilities, our sixth sensory, or, you know, all that gift, it is already in all of us. So I had to keep working with it over years to understand it, to know how to listen to the signs. And over time, it's like you reach that knowing that what you're receiving, this is a divine guidance. This is your intuition telling you versus your logical mind, as you said, like it's not the pros and cons. It's like, you know, that you have to go through that. And even though like you can tell sometimes some of the intuitive guidance is pretty, like you're going to have to take a whole lot, like leaps of faith towards something you never thought about, but you know it's the right way and you just have to follow it. And then you build that trust in what you're receiving as well.
Would
So
you
that was my
say
story a bit.
Would you say that running into the same person all the time, or seeing that person somewhere that you didn't think that you weren't expected to see them, like say in a, you know, stadium full of people, and all of a sudden you look up and they're there? You think there are signs from the universe? Do you think that's like the universe brings you signs or brings people together when they're supposed to come together for some reason?
I definitely feel so, because nothing is really a coincidence. Some people like, and we mostly like live a programmed life because we look at things with our logical mind. Like if you're meant to meet someone, this is when you're supposed to meet them. But I mean, most of us believe that things happen, you know, with coincidence, you know, miracle, you know, meeting that miracle meeting or that person maybe coming into your life. Like, I don't really like now, the more you're open to your intuition, you understand there's no real coincidence. Like everything's divinely planned to you. But some people are more aware of why these things happen, and some are just surprised every time I mean, we all get surprised when we have a specific meeting, but it's not really a coincidence. It's like, you're meant to meet specific people at specific times. Even you're, as you said, like in a stadium full of thousands of people, but that one person, like when you leave your chair to maybe go get a hot dog, and it's that specific timing, you meet that maybe friend from school that you have been seeing for 20 years. That's not just a coincidence. It's like your souls have already connected. They wanted you both to meet. So
yeah. And I'm actually thinking of one specific person that you keep running into. So it's the same person that you keep running into. And it's just like, you know, it's almost like kismet, right? It's almost like the universe putting you together for some reason, you know, and that reason could be different reasons. But like the sign today I got was like, I found that heart in the dirt, you know, I find hearts everywhere, you know, and I just feel like maybe there's different meanings behind things that we get. Again, it's also just using your intuition as to what something means to you. If you do get a sign, you know, what does that mean to you? Even like the dreams, you know, waking up and remembering your dreams, you know, sometimes that those dreams have symbolism in them, and looking those things up. So sometimes it's a matter of like, sometimes you might not know exactly what the universe is trying to tell you, or you know, source, or your spirit team, or whatever you want to call it. And sometimes we have to do our research, you know, to kind of like think, you know, figure it out. Like, you know, I just, you know, I was on the phone with you today, and I was like, oh, I don't know what this means, you know, and I had to look that up, and it was so weird just to kind of like tell everybody, you know, I had this, without getting into too many details, but it was basically like a goldfish, and it was like, you know, water. And I was like, I don't know what this means, you know, it was with a person. And then I know what a fish is, and, you know, what it can mean, and symbolically, and I know what water's, you know, symbolizes emotions. But you're like, while you're typing, dig a little deeper, I've already was doing my research and Googling something. It was a word that came up. It was like this word that came to me, and that's intuition. That's coming from a higher source. Cause I don't ever, this word, it's not like something that I would have used, but it was like, it was like symbiosis. Okay. So I'm like, what does this mean? So I look it up, and then I see a picture of goldfish. Okay. So then I click on it, and then I get information about my dream from the information that from that picture that I clicked on. There was information about that. It actually interpreted my dream so much clearer, and so with so much more detail than I would have ever had I not looked that up, and had I not gotten that word, actually, because I don't think I would have found the actual true meaning of that dream if I didn't get that word downloaded to me. But seeing that vision, it kind of like was like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to click on, because this is the exact, you know, it looks like the fish that was in my dream. And then it brought me to another article, and then the actual word fish was in the doctor's name that wrote the article. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is all like coming together. It's just like, sometimes it seems so weird, you know, like so far-fetched, all the information that can come to you if you allow it and you're open to it. And that was what I think I wanted to touch on, is that when you focus, it's like learning anything, right? When I say you can't really learn these things, the way you learn these things is by shutting your mind off, right? And shutting your mind off is through meditation, you know, through working on yourself, working on healing, you know, removing those inner wounds that you have that's kind of weighing you down. And it's this, I'm sorry, my light, the sunlight is coming right directly in here. So I'm going to just kind of move a little bit, because
interesting.
bothering my eyes.
There was a point where I could actually see a light in your third eye. So your third eye was actually like, there was a dot in your third eye. This is where the third eye is. This is where the eye you see intuition with. So it was interesting when we started to talk.
Sorry about that. It was like,
that's part of, you know, signs from spirit too.
Okay. So yeah, so I think you know, clearing your mind, clearing yourself, working on your inner self, working on your healing, working on triggers, you know, things that kind of like evoke, you know, some kind of emotional response from you. Let's say like a reaction or something that is less, you know, something that you don't desire, say, you know, your insecurities, or, you know, feeling of low self-worth, or, you know, you're not exhibiting love, or you're feeling abandonment or rejection and stuff like that. When you start to work on your self and remove those things that are inside of you, it's basically like that dense energy. It's the lower energies weigh you down. It's in your energy field. So as you work on those things and you lift them out from you, meaning that they don't actually, if the same trigger comes along or something else, you're not affected by it anymore, then you know that you've healed those things, right? So, I mean, working on that kind of stuff and getting yourself to a lighter place, just raising your vibration is really basically what it's about. So there's so many things that you can do to raise your vibration and work on this. But if you actually focus and ask to be more intuitive, or maybe you don't even have to say those words, you just want to really like, you know, work on your energy and feel like you do have, you know, that ability to communicate with spirit in a way where, you know, maybe you're not getting channeled information, but you're getting more intuitive information, and feel like you're going to be able to make the best choices that are coming from your soul, you know, versus your mind, your ego. You know, you just basically have to focus on yourself, don't you think? You got to focus on your own energy, your healing, and, you know, your energy vibration, you know, because that's how you actually are able to tap into it. And the learning part is maybe learning about yourself, you know, it's like a lot of more introspection, which brings us to this time right now. It's maybe the accent that we're talking about it, because a lot of people are going to have extra time to do this, right?
Yeah. I think you mentioned something like with this example, like you had a dream, you acted on it, and then you started to follow the breadcrumbs. And that's the process really by which you can learn more about your intuition. And it's like one of the things that, like in that example you were just talking about, is you were not afraid to follow your hunch, like that tip that you received from, you know, a dream state, because the dreams are a time when you're really very much open to guidance and open to your own spirit. So, I mean, that's a great example of, because someone who might have received the same information like you, they wake up in the morning and maybe they think about the dream, maybe the dream might be in their head, but they wouldn't act on it. They wouldn't take those steps. And like through those steps that you took, and actually you kept following that hunch, that tip, that is like, it's weird, like an investigative tip that came to you, and you kept following it, because you could have stopped at any part and say, oh, I'm scared to go further than that, that's not enough, you know, that's, you know, because your logical mind would tell you, oh, it's not important, it's not real, because you got some really major, you know, intuitive point there, for example. So, and that's part of the intuition, is you have to follow that hunch. And it's interesting because you know, meeting a specific person, especially when you meet a person like someone significant in your life, and things keep happening over and over with that person, even though whether you step away or you don't really think about it, but then the same person keeps showing up in your life, that's a major sign coming to you that you both have an important role together to play together. So that's part of that, you know, trusting that intuition too. And I want to, like, because you mentioned that little, you know, that thing that happened to you, and there was something that happened to me, and even before I knew what my gifts were, before I could actually really pay attention to what I had, I was looking for something in my, you know, in my basement, and I kept looking and looking and looking, and I couldn't even find it. And then I said, you know what, I'm not going to find it. And I you know, went upstairs and I left, and I said, okay. And then literally I was walking next to my basement, and I stopped by the door. I remember it so clearly because I had a smell that whatever I was looking for had a certain smell, and I smelled it. Like I was able to smell it, and there was no way that smell would be upstairs. There's no way. Like, and I knew, like, I literally felt it right away. I had that smell, and I said, okay, yeah, you want me to go look downstairs now? And I did that. I went downstairs in my basement, started looking again for what I was looking for. Didn't find it, but then something said, no, look, you know, I felt like I need to look further where I am. And I looked, and it was right there in front of my eyes. So, and I kept thinking, oh my God, that was so weird. And I thought that was normal because, you know, I was upstairs, and there's no way I could have felt that. There's nothing that would make that smell in my home. But I literally had that smell, and I was totally convinced that I was listening to my intuition telling me, yeah, okay, I'm going to go look downstairs now in that specific moment. So that's part of the signs too. You could be smelling something. I mean, the signs come in so many different ways. And for me, that was an example. I actually smelled, and the whole flow. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go look again. So, and that's the fun thing about intuition. And, because sometimes our fears, and even later when, if your gift of mediumship is open, you're able to see spirits and actually full bodies of a spirit. I mean, it could be pretty scary and traumatic for someone who's not ready to face that. That's part of the fears. Thankfully for me, like when I see a spirit, it's usually someone that I know, which is great. And the other ones that I don't know, I usually see them in my third eye. I could see what the person looks like, even though I have no idea what they look like. So it's part of spirit also works with you and what you're meant to know and feel. If you feel scared, that's what you're going to feel. But there's nothing scary about spirit, because we are also spirits living in a human body. So it's, that's part of the intuition too. That's part of the intuition too. There's so many ways you can get intuitive guidance. You could be meeting someone who might say a word to you. Dreams are amazing. I mean, I'm one of those people who communicate a lot through dreams when I need like something that I can't see. You get to see visions if you're meditating, but you really have to be open to what you're seeing. Because if you start to say, oh no, that's not right, that's not true, then you're kind of blocking what you're receiving. But you have to receive it and take time to honor it and understand it. What other ways that you can enhance your intuition?
So I wanted to just say, like, when you were talking about being scared, I just wanted to ask you, but I wanted to also say that as a kid, I don't know if you were the same way, but being that I was so sensitive, and my son actually was like this too, that I was scared, like, of things that I didn't see, but I sensed things. I was scared of the dark, even without like actually watching like scary movies and stuff. Like I remember when I was a kid, like my parents like could not close their bedroom door, and they, I don't know, like I was just like, I can't, and I couldn't sleep with the light on. I wasn't allowed to have a nightlight. Okay. But I always felt like something was there, and it was scary to me. I remember the one time that I actually went to bed and my bed started shaking, and I freaked out. And I remember calling my dad upstairs, yelling, and I told him, and he like blew it off. Like he thought it was in my mind. I don't know how old I was. I think I may have been like 10 or something like that, a little bit older. I wasn't like 5 or anything like that. And after like the awakening and stuff that I did, I also started getting new things. Like, and sometimes they would come because it wasn't like I was trying to push for something or, a new ability, because there's different forms of mediumship, and there's different ways of, like say like communication with, souls who have departed this earth, right? It wasn't something I was looking to get. Like I wasn't trying to like tap into that, but it just started happening, right? So it started happening, and it wasn't like anything that I was used to. It came on so quickly, and it was coming on at work, and that scared me because I would just be like talking to somebody, and all of a sudden I would get this information to tell this person. Like, you ever see that psychic medium, that person, that woman?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? Like being
Yeah.
at the supermarket and
name.
starting to tell somebody, oh, do you know so-and-so? Or, I didn't want to be like that. And I felt like, man, I'm at work, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be, and luckily a lot of this stuff happened when I wasn't in the room in the OR. It was like happening outside of the OR while I was like waiting to bring a patient back or something, And I just remember like, talking to several people, and it touched them so much that, like I understand and I recognize this, I recognize why I needed to do it, because like the tears and the healing that they felt, because it's like almost like they see that they've never gone away. They're still so very part of, they're so here and very part of people's lives. And I think that's so healing for people to hear that, and telling people like things that I would see and know that you can't, like, it's not a coincidence, like very specific things. But I got afraid of it, you know, of course, because I'm thinking people are going to start thinking I'm crazy or something, you know, even though it was, they knew I wasn't, but maybe some people weren't ready to hear it. So I was like, I shut it off. I turned it off. And then I went and did, you know, I don't know, something else prompted me. I think it was my intuition pushing me and said, you know, you can't be afraid of this. You can't. So I actually went and did a workshop with John Holland up in New York in Rhinebeck for like 5 days, like an intensive workshop, and showed me how to turn it on and turn it off. So I didn't feel like it was just constantly there, because it's a lot, right? To get all that
Yeah.
stuff all at once. And I felt like very ungrounded sometimes. And it could be very scary when you're starting to get all this. So that was helpful, but I just wanted to bring up like how that feels, because, you know, just getting an inner knowing and stuff like that, that's not scary, but something like that is a little bit more that it could be uncomfortable for some people. Not everybody's going to get that information, you know. Just because you start opening yourself up, it doesn't mean you're going to start getting those visions of people who have passed over if you weren't meant to get those, right? I mean, not everybody's meant to have those abilities, because, you know, I don't think anything will come your way until you're actually ready for it. Or don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, some people like they come with that gift kind of open, or maybe their own emotions are kind of, their vibration kind of is open to that, so it attracts more of that. And if they're not ready, if your parents or, you know, whoever around you like are totally against it, then you start developing more fear or more resistance to it if you're not, you know, if you don't want to have it. So I mean, and we dismiss a lot of, for example, children's ideas because, you know, we think it's an imaginary friend or whatever. But children, they come to life, they're very open, especially for a child. They come open and they have such purity about them that, you know, they're able to see things that are behind the veil, or, you know, they just come open. And then over time, as a child, you grow up and you learn from society different things, so you close it down and it's shut down. So that's why they tell you children know best, because they're so pure that they're really tuned into that intuition side of them. So it just depends, you know, of course, you know, as if you get it as a child. But, you know, if you're a grown up and it starts literally opening up for you, it's, you know, I mean, a lot of people get afraid of the idea of spirits because of the negative, you know, maybe propaganda for it, but it's a natural thing. It's just natural thing. And he said, like, you know, being a medium or in getting that mediumship gift is such a healing gift, you know, for others. So I had, you know, of course I had some stories with that, but, you know, one of the things, like I was visiting someone who lost, you know, a child or son, and I was, you know, didn't know who was going, you know, I was visiting, and her son was sitting right there, like next to me. And he was trying to talk to me, like I could see him fully. And she was next to me and I couldn't tell her because I didn't know how open she would be. And I was having a conversation. He was trying to tell me, like, you need to tell her. And I didn't. I couldn't say anything at the moment. You know, even his father, who was also departed, you know, I was there and I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't know how open open she would be. And even for me, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, I think like over time, of course, I started to see like, it's fine, it's okay. You know, I can, you know, I can work with that. Now more people know that I have that. So they're open to me talking about it. And I get more people wanting to connect to their loved ones on the other side, which is great because, you know, a lot of people need that healing. They need that reassurance that their loved ones are safe. They wanted that extra message. Maybe they need help from their parents or someone they love who they lost. So intuition comes in so many different ways, and so people, you can have gifts in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we're all unique, each person is kind of, you could have your own unique gift, you know, that you're open to. So
And also like
yeah.
practicing it, don't you think? Like, because uh the more you focus on something and the more you want to develop it, you have to practice it. So in my case, in doing the mediumship, I was trying to find mediumship circles and practice and do things, just because you need to like really like stay focused on it. So I didn't really couldn't find any of those. So I did a lot, some of the Facebook online things, but it really wasn't my focus. I don't think that really was supposed to be my focus, you know? So I kind of let that go a bit. I started developing other things, and, you know, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing at this point, and I don't think that there was any accidents. But also just wanted to say that, you know, if you are, if you get something and you really want to build upon it, you know, it just, you have to keep practicing and keep doing it in order to feel more comfortable and feel more open to it, because your mind will try to stop it. You know, your mind, like the fear or the thinking, the thought, oh no, that's just in my head, that's just my ego talking, you know. You try to, like, sometimes, like, especially when you're learning, meaning that you're just opening up and you're developing that, you're more likely to question a lot of things. You know, you're not certain, you're not sure of yourself. And it's like anything, when you start a new job, you know, that you've never done before, you know, you may start questioning your abilities, your confidence isn't there yet, you know. So it's like anything, when you're starting out, you have to build your confidence, and the way to build your confidence is to keep doing it and to keep tapping into it. I mean, I find that, you know, how do you open yourself up more? I think right now we're in this great spiritual awakening. You know, everybody is starting to really shed those, you know, those fears are coming out of people. Those traumas, you know, these are things that are being purged by the collective right now, and people are starting to see things a little bit differently than they did, like, say 3 or 4 months ago, right? I mean, it's kind of shift. It's a big shift for people, you know, just seeing, like, you know, kind of triggering people's, you know, lifespan here on this earth. Like, you know, I mean, you just don't know if tomorrow, it's like tomorrow's never promised to you. So are you living your best and fullest life type of thing, you know, or am I going to stay in the same mundane job, do the same old thing day in and day out, not really be happy and fulfilled? I think people are really questioning that. So it's really causing that, we could consider that as an awakening. Okay, you're waking up to something bigger, something greater. And once you know that you're actually shifting and awakening, you kind of get guided to the steps that you need to take, you know, that you're kind of, you get almost like pushed in a certain direction. You continue to get maybe the same idea or the same thought, you know, or maybe, like we talked about, like there could be some career change, like some, all of a sudden there's like this roadblock, you know, and you can't, you know, you lost your job or something's not working out at your job. And it's like, instead of like trying to control it, and, you know, you got to let go of control issues, trying to control that, you kind of like take a step back and say, okay, well, why might this be happening? Maybe there's something else better that's opening up for me, you know. And that's causing, if you kind of come from that angle, you're releasing any kind of resistance, and you're allowing the universe to put you where you're meant to be next. And they can come in forms of ideas, you know, of different things. All of a sudden you start thinking about different things and you don't know where that's coming from. You know, you might see something in the paper, or you might see something that, you know, you never thought, but you kind of, you know, piques your interest. That could be, that's probably your intuition, you know, kind of, that's like the universe trying to guide you in a direction that's best suited for you. So
I want, like, it's exactly that, like that. The thing is that sometimes, and that's where people have a hard time maybe with the intuition sometimes, that is, how do you manage your intuition versus your regular life? Like, say you're in a job or a certain kind of relationship dynamic or a situation, and you're getting all these intuitive, like your heart keeps telling you over and over and over again something. How do you trust an idea that there is no physical proof of it? That's where the intuition really, that's the test for your intuition. Like, and maybe I can give an example. Like when I'm doing a session and I'm doing a reading or a reading for someone, I have no idea what these people are. I don't know what they do, and I'm telling them things that I'm receiving on their behalf, or from their soul, from spirit guides. And I remember clearly, like one of my clients saying, she, for a reading, for example, she said, sometimes I have to remind myself that you actually don't really know me. So it means that something is coming that is not really known. But if you are, if you're getting a piece of information and everything around you, the physical proof, because the way life is about scientific proof, like, and because we want that proof, like we want proof that water is a liquid, so we have to test it. So
Right.
we have to test the idea that water is a liquid. But like when you see water, your intuition tells you, yeah, that's a liquid, like I know that, I know it. But that's the thing about you receiving intuition. Like, you say you were in a great job, but your intuition tells you you're not meant to be in this job, but there's no physical proof that if you leave that job and maybe pursue another career, totally different career, but that's your passion, how can you follow that when nothing tells you that you're actually going to be successful in that other thing? So that's part of why the intuition gets tested over and over again, because your intuition gets tested. And that's the same thing about being in a say in a relationship, an abusive or a loveless relationship, or some kind of a family dynamic, maybe, that you have. And people around you would tell you that what your intuition is wrong, because based on society, based on the knowledge that is there, what you think is right is, they tell you, everybody around you tells that's wrong. So how can you trust the unknown in the sense that is known to you, but it's not there, like a proof of it? That's really why we stop our intuition, because the logical mind tells
Mhm.
you there is no logical explanation.
Right.
See, and I know that we both see it a lot in our readings. Like, your logical mind tells you that you're not supposed to know this information, or even you know, there's no proof, right?
Right. So it's like, so, you energy's there, but you can't sometimes, like, you can't see energy, like, like the electricity that comes, from the wall that plugs in the lamp. You could see the light, but you can't actually see the electricity flowing through. It's the same thing as intuition. It's the same thing as energy. We're all energy beings here having this human existence, and everything is energy. So why wouldn't you feel, why people sometimes have a hard time, thinking that anything else exists beyond what they actually physically see. But if you think of it that way, and think of it in terms of, like, energy, and, like, just as simple as, like, seeing, having electricity, you can see that there's so much more, than you can't see. So I mean, that's proof in itself right there. So questioning whether or not something is there, or it's, just your mind and blowing it off, I guess it's all part of the process. But learning to trust yourself more will come as you start opening yourself up and you're raising your vibration. And that was the thing I wanted to say, that with all this awakening, my awakening, kind of propelled my ascension. We call it ascension, meaning everybody's going through this ascension process on this earth, where we're raising the level of our energy vibration to be higher. And when you're raising it to be higher, you're more in tune, you're more open, the veil thins, so you're more open to communication from spirit, right? But that wasn't always there. Like I said, there was always, I was kind of born in the family that had it. But, I really believe that people actually don't have to have that. I just was, one of the, people who started out this journey in 2012. It kind of like helped me a little bit more. But, everybody's born with this. Everybody has this. And when you go through the awakening, you're going to start shifting your perspective. You're going to start seeing signs. You're going to have synchronicities. You're going to, like, I remember, like, the numbers were out of control, and I still see numbers, but they were, like, really, like, significant when I was first starting, and I didn't know what it meant, So again, I was looking a lot of stuff up because I would see the same thing repeating itself. So then that's when I would, like, look it up. Okay, what does this mean? I don't really know what this means. But now, like, after being on it for a while, yeah, there's still some things, like, with the dream I looked up, but most often, like, I kind of already know, so that just, comes with experience, right? I would call it experience, the more you're doing it and the more open you are, the more experience you're getting and the more you're practicing it, because we do this, we're doing this. I don't, it's sometimes you don't even have to be focused on it, because yeah, I have my, the side business where I do this kind of work on the side, but I also, being in the medical field, I mean, I'm not there, reading people or, giving readings or anything like that. I don't do that kind of stuff. Do I do healing work? Yes. I feel like, a lot of times, I'll do Reiki and do energy healing and stuff like that. But I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm more in balance, where I'm not focused on the spiritual or the, spiritual side so much, because I'm not there doing that. That's not my focus. My focus is there to help heal people. I don't need to be like, do spiritual life coaching or, all those other things that I would do on the side. But it does come through in other ways, and my intuition will come through sometimes, like even like, if I'm taking care of somebody, like I already know. It's almost like you kind of like have that sixth sense. You kind of know what to do next, and it hasn't even shown up on the monitor yet, but you're already anticipating something because you already feel like it's going to happen. It's like kind of like that thing, so you kind of act on your intuition, and as it's happening, you actually see, oh, that was really my intuition. I really knew, that was my sixth sense, talking to me and steering me in the right direction, because it will help you with your job, with whatever you do. You don't have to be like a psychic or a reader or like a medium. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It just helps you in your everyday experiences, with your career, with your family, with your lover, with, with anybody you come in contact with your whole life, right? I think it's just being well-rounded and whole and balanced.
Yeah, I mean, we are created to connect with the idea of the spirit, and sometimes people will look at just to define the idea of spirit. Spirits are our spirit guides, the angels around us, spirits of our ancestors, our loved ones who are on the other side, and they're there to support us in spirit. We are also connecting with ascended masters, who are wise humans who have lived this earth, but they are now in spirit and they're here to guide us. So or just you feeling the God energy or God's energy or the universe's energy, that's part of your spirit team. So that's part of the spirit, that when we talk about that. And sometimes, and I feel that some of I've received that question myself. People are worried, like, are you tapping into God's knowledge without you? Like, if you're your intuition or doing a reading or something, then you're getting information you're not supposed to be getting, because that's God's knowledge. You're not really supposed to see the future or things like that. So intuition, you're only going to get the intuition or the guidance or the information you're meant to know. Like, nobody, like, we're all like, even though we have our intuition opened up, we're only going to get things that we need to know, or the person needs to know, because God wants them to get that information. They've been praying for help, and that's the way the information is coming to them. So you're not going to know everything. You're still going to have to do things on your own. And that's part of the why people get scared of that intuition too, because they're worried they're going to be doing something as a sin or against God or against their belief system, society, or tradition. So yeah, I mean, there's so much that gets with intuition, and I guess we wanted to do this quick intro somehow into it.
Yeah, I don't even know how long we've been doing it, because
I know when we start talking, things just go. But this is just a quick video we wanted to do, to kind of start the conversation with many people, and we're looking forward to do more videos on different things, that can really help people open their hearts to some changes that are coming anyway. Right, Donna?
Yeah, I think we're wrapping it up now, because like we said, we were like free flowing. So I think this is all the information that's supposed to come out, that we needed to share with people, just kind of flowed, and we didn't have to think about it really, So I think that, maybe we were meant to put this video out at this length of time, I guess, but people who are meant to watch it from beginning to end will watch it, and we'll try to shoot for a shorter video next time, so I think that, keeping it, real is always the best way of, I love spontaneity, and sometimes you can't, no matter what we say, we're going to do it for 15 minutes. It turns into like almost an hour or whatever it is right now.
We're providing good entertainment, like
Yeah.
good, if you're at home, everybody's stuck at home, then, we have more time to watch different and we want that to be a conversation, like an open, free flowing conversation, because when we're speaking, you never really know what word we say that triggers something in your mind. So that's why, it's what we're just following what we feel like, with our intuition, we're following our intuition as well.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say in closing is like, just follow your signs, and especially in repeating signs that you're getting, kind of dig deeper with that, and also be open to that, and be open to receiving messages in your dreams or in your day-to-day. Maybe really try to focus more on silencing your mind and meditation. And like I said yesterday in the video, is like meditation takes many forms. So I find that the most information, though, if I'm like really struggling for an answer or struggling with something, when I silence my mind and try to get into that meditative state, and sometimes just listening to a guided meditation gets me more relaxed. So I might not get the information as I'm doing the guided meditation, but afterwards my mind is more shut down, and I'll able to get that information, more clearly. So, just kind of be open to that, and, take the time out right now, which you're going to have a lot more time, right? To work on that, and to work on anything that comes up, and not be afraid of it, because it really isn't anything bad. It's really, we're all made of love. We're all here. We all have, that is we're all born in love. And what's happened is that, people have been, jaded, become jaded by their surroundings or their environment or whatever, what have you. And, really, I mean, people can see things differently, but that's the kind of way I see things. That could probably be a whole another topic, and I don't know why I'm going there, but maybe because I want to say that, intuition, what you kind of like just tap on, is that it's not anything evil. It's not anything to be afraid of. It's not anything bad. It's not like you're going to get, I'm going to see like, my predicted death or something, or, something like that. It's not, it doesn't usually work that way, so I think that people sometimes have a preconceived notion of what, if they open themselves up, are they going to open themselves up to seeing something bad, and that could scare a lot of people. So
Not meant to scare you, as they're saying now when I'm here, like, it's not meant to scare, it's meant to bless you. So it's the way you perceive it too. So on that note, I think we should wrap this up, and let us know let us know what else that you want help with, and any other topics that you would love some information about. And we're going to leave both our information below the video, so you get the details as well of what we do and where we are, our Facebook, our YouTube channels, and where to follow us on Instagram and social media.
all right, well, it's nice chatting with you. All right,
Bye.
bye everybody, see you soon.